Hello, everyone. This is Written in the Stars, and today, in building a zodiac sign based fantasy world, we are again talking about the geography and more specifically, the natural disasters that could occur in certain places of this fantasy world. This time, the considerations for the world building will be the four elements, which are fire, air, water, and earth. And instead of relating them to the kind of philosophical principle behind them from Aristotle, which says that fire is hot and dry, we're just going to look at like fire related disasters like volcanic eruptions and attribute them to fire, and we will do this with all the elements. First up, we have an avalanche, which is a mass of tumbling, sliding, or flowing snow. It consists primarily of snow, but also of boulders and other debris, and of course, there is a danger of being buried under the snow. So, this to me is mostly a water and earth sign related natural disaster. So, it could happen, for example, in Capricorn or in Scorpio or even in like winter seasons of the other earth and water elements. Next up, we have a blizzard, which is a storm during snowfall or with blowing snow. So the snow doesn't actually have to fall, but there needs to be snow on the ground that can be blown around. And there is a danger of slick roads and also an increased risk of avalanches. This also, I think, would happen mostly in water and earth signs. However, I think it could also happen in Libra, which has like seasons and it is an air sign. So the kind of blowing wind that kind of creates the blizzard could also be seen in Libra. We also have a cold wave, which is a rapid temperature drops within 24 hours. What is a drop in temperature and what is considered cold varies by region. There is a risk of hypothermia and other injuries, and the infrastructure could be damaged through ice and frost, and also batteries of vehicles could be drained. So, according to this definition, a cold wave basically could happen on every continent, but it would vary. Like on an Aries continent, which is naturally hot, the cold wave would just create a dip in the already hot temperature, while, for example, in Cancer, which is more middling and has seasons, it would create a really like cold period. Next up, we have the hail and thunderstorm, and it can create damage due to its impact. I think the hail and thunderstorm could again be water related, especially in like Scorpio, but also in other cold areas such as the earth signs during winter. It might also be part of Libra again, maybe even Gemini, essentially in the air, water, and earth signs, not so much in the fire sign. Next up, we have the ice storm, which is a winter storm with freezing rain. And what happens is that during a snowstorm, the snow is like falling, melts in a layer of warm air, and then it refreezes in a layer below, which is colder. And it creates dangers of traffic accidents because of the frozen roads, and also there's a danger of power outages because the ice settles on telephone poles, for example. Again, I think the most prevalent continents on which this would happen would be the earth signs and the water signs, but also I think air signs are possible due to the kind of stormy nature of the air signs. So maybe in Libra and in Gemini, this could also happen. Not so much in Aquarius because I made it a electric rainforest, but the hailstorms actually are, I think, also possible in rainforests, so hailstorms could still be a thing there. Next up, we have the wildfires, which are uncontrolled fires in forests, bushland, prairies, or grassland, and they can be caused through different things such as lightning, but also man made stuff like campfires or downed power lines or even arson. Wildfires do happen naturally in dry parts of the world and are part of the ecological process. So, some plants even use wildfires for reproduction. And of course, wildfires create destruction of land and even homes of people. While the man made wildfires could occur on any continent, I think the natural wildfires would most likely occur on the fire continents. Next up, we have solar flares, which are major explosions on the sun's surface, which cause disruptions in our Earth's magnetic field. These geomagnetic storms can lead to electrical power outages. And I think because of its association with electricity and power outages, it would be best to attribute them to Aquarius for the electric rainforest. This could actually be some kind of weather phenomenon that happens in Aquarius that is related to the sun. So whenever the sun transits through Aquarius, something like this could happen. So it would happen like once a year. Then we also have heat waves, which are prolonged periods of higher than average temperatures. And again, what is considered heat varies by region, but there is a risk of dehydration and heat stroke. Again, I think this most likely would occur in the fire elements, but through like transits of like the sun or Mars, it could happen in other regions, in other continents. Then we have droughts, which are extended periods of drier than average conditions. And again, what is considered drier varies by region and even by season. Like some places have like a wet and a dry season. So what would be dry during the wet season would be different than what would be dry during the dry season. And this causes a lack of water and food shortages. In general, I would attribute this to the fire signs, maybe even some of the earth signs like Capricorn or even Virgo, but it could also happen to the other signs when like there are transits. For example, Saturn is not so fond of being in the sign of Cancer, and the air it could cause these dry periods for a extended time of like 2.5 years, depending on the Saturn cycle. Volcanic eruptions happen when lava, gases, and ash escape from volcanoes. Not every eruption has to be violent, but some are steady streams of lava. They can affect air traffic because of particles in the atmosphere. So, most likely, this is going to occur on the fire signs, most of all Aries. However, maybe the particles in the atmosphere could affect the air signs such as Gemini. Next up, we have a tornado, which is a violently rotating column of air that extends from the base of a cumulonimbus cloud and causes exceptionally fast wind speeds. And without a doubt, this is a phenomena that would occur on the air continents. We also have limnic eruptions, and those things are wild. This is basically exploding lakes caused by sudden and violent eruptions of carbon dioxide from the bottom of a freshwater lake. So, the pressurized carbon dioxide is absorbed in the lake, and then a explosion can be triggered, for example, by a landslide. When the carbon dioxide escapes, it replaces the oxygen and can cause suffocation. And if that isn't enough, it can also cause tsunamis. So I think this could happen both in the air and water signs, wherever there is water, and because of the gas nature of carbon dioxide, which is soluble in water. So it's kind of a combination of a water and air sign phenomenon, and it can happen in lakes, in the water signs, or in the air signs. Next up, we have impact events such as meteorites. Impact events happen when something from space crashes into Earth, and it can cause massive damage, not just because of the impact, but also because of the blast that is created from the impact. And I think this would most likely happen in air signs and maybe in Earth signs. I'm not sure for this one. I think I would associate like meteorites and comets kind of with Sagittarius due to the contemplative nature of Sagittarius, them looking far out into the universe to kind of think about Earth. I think this would make the most sense, but it could also happen, like naturally, it could happen on the whole planet if you just think about what it is. But if you want to assign it to a zodiac sign, I would kind of associate it with Sagittarius. A tsunami is a massive wave caused by underground earthquakes or volcanic eruptions. They do not look like huge waves, but like a large wall of water. This would be a natural disaster I would associate with the water signs, even if it's caused by earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. However, I think it could be triggered due to transits, maybe from Mars or from Saturn in the water signs. Next up, we have thunderstorms, which are not natural disasters in their own right. They produce lightning and thunder, and they can bring damaging winds, flash floods, lightning, and tornadoes. I would associate the thunderstorms most likely with the air signs, maybe the water signs, and most of all with Aquarius due to the lightning and it like kind of giving electricity. We also have tropical cyclones, which are rapidly rotating storms over tropical areas, such as hurricanes, typhoons, and cyclones. Those are like different names for the same thing. They bring fierce winds, heavy rain, and storm surges to coastal and island areas. They can bring down power grids and cause widespread flooding. In my world, I would associate them with the water signs because most of the air signs, like even though it is created by storms, most of the air signs are like floating in the sky, so it would not have the flooding impact. There actually could like be on both sides, but the flooding aspect of this could only occur on the water signs. And I think especially in like on like Cancer and Pisces, this would happen because in Cancer there are like a lot of coasts and even some islands, and Pisces consists mostly of islands. A flood happens when water temporarily overflows onto dry land, and it's usually caused by high rainfall, and there is a danger of being dragged away by the water. Again, I would associate this mostly with the water signs. A flash flood, on the other hand, begins within 6 hours of a period of heavy rain and other water related causes. It is associated with major storms, but it can happen in places where it hasn't rained and then it's caused by upstream thunderstorms or dam breaks or malfunctions. Again, I think this could happen in the water signs, but I think it would be also interesting for this to happen maybe in Aquarius, where there are often thunderstorms. And because Aquarius is called the water bearer, maybe they have a lot of rivers with dams in them, which could break and cause the same thing. Next up is the landslide, which is a large scale movement of a mass of debris and rock down a slope. It can be caused by volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, and heavy rain. This is, of course, a earth sign phenomenon. Because it is also created by volcanic eruptions and heavy rain, it could also happen on places such as Aries or Cancer. An earthquake is caused by a sudden and violent slippage of tectonic plates and can cause tsunamis. So the earthquake on land I would associate it with the earth sign, and if it's happening underwater and causes tsunamis, I would associate it with the water sign. A sinkhole is when the ground collapses because it has been hollowed out by groundwater. The ground usually consists of soluble material like limestone, salt beds, or carbonate rock. And then when it's hollowed out and there's pressure applied from above, it collapses. This most likely is to happen on either the water or the earth signs. A subsidence is a similar collapse of Earth like a sinkhole, but is caused by groundwater being depleted from the bedrock instead, and again, it would be associated with water or earth signs. Then there is a mudslide, which is essentially a landslide that includes mostly mud and other fast moving debris. It is caused by rainfall or earthquakes, but also where humans have removed vegetation for agriculture due to a lack of the structure in the soil. And again, this would most likely be associated with water and earth signs. I think the mudslide happening due to vegetation being removed from the agriculture could be a Virgo issue because Virgo has to do with harvest. And lastly, we have some killer fog or pea soup fog, which is the yellowish black fog over urban areas that consist of a poisonous mix of fog, soot, and particles and sulfur dioxide. And particulates in smog are caused by humans, but the long lasting fog itself is a meteorological phenomenon. This can also cause widespread temperature inversions. And I think this could mostly be a problem in the air signs, especially ones where there are like big cities. So maybe a big city in Aquarius or Gemini. I think this is where it would most likely happen. This is it for the natural disasters in my zodiac sign based fantasy world. Before I wrap this off, here is again a slide that lists them by element. And now, bringing this to a close, do comment what do you think about me matching these natural disasters to the zodiac signs? Does it make sense to you? And if you liked it, please leave a like. And if you want to follow me on building this world, then please subscribe to the channel. If you want to watch the previous video where I match the climate and weather to the zodiac signs, you can watch this now by clicking the video.